Show me a
at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well I've heard it about it.
Da 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 da.
I like the Peacemaker dance too that we've added in there. Anyway,
Okay. That's a good one.
good evening, nerds, and welcome to episode 56 of Geeklife Live, your source for all the nerdy news you need to know. I am your host with the headband, Jake, the Great, aka Gonzo Gone Live, and joining me today, first he's sour, then he's savage. It's Savage Patch Kid. How are you doing tonight, Sav?
Wow, that's good. That's a good one. That's a good one. I'm doing very well. Making it. Wow. Sorry, every week you hit me with one of those things that I just like. It's somewhere between that. Wow, that's amazing, and God, I can't believe you wrote that.
No, some of them are really bad. That one's actually pretty good. I will give myself.
It hit a middle ground.
Well, and back this week after rocking with the new stars, it's Dodd. How are you doing tonight, Dodd?
Hi.
It's the Dodd. I should have said the Dodd. I don't like just Dodd. Yeah, it's the Dodd.
It's the Dodd. It's the Dodd.
Yeah, hold on. And back this week after rocking with the new stars, it's the Dodd. How are you doing tonight, Dodd?
I'm doing good.
Live edits.
I'm the Dodd with new rock stars. They pay me to say that. So, subscribe to New Rockstars. Bah, I did my thing. How have you guys been?
Making that money real quick. Go ahead, hit that bank. Doing good, man. It's Memorial Day weekend, so everybody remember things. And then
it's the worst named holiday. I can literally never remember when it is.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always nice to have Monday off anyway, if you work at a corporate.
It's the beginning of summer Labor Day.
Yes. Yeah. I believe so.
Yeah.
Well, what have you guys been up to? Any new shows? Any new movies? Anything you've been binging lately?
There's been so much to binge. I need to get caught up on Stranger Things, but obviously...
Yes, Stranger Things did just drop. It's
literally
been
just dropped. We got time.
Yeah. Obviously, Kenobi just came out. And then we've got teases for all different kinds of stuff. I mean, I'm pretty much giving you guys the rundown right here. But I've just been keeping up with everything that's going out there. If there's anything that I have been keeping up with, it's been a little bit of Pokemon VGC and Unite. Still, even though Silph Coast Sports may no longer be going, I still have the competitive spirit.
No.
Yeah, right now. I still have the competitive spirit going with both Unite and VGC. Vancouver Regionals were awesome. We saw Ditto in the finals, which was really cool. We saw a Rotom Heat, little easy bake oven in the finals, which is super duper exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah.
And then I've been
That's very rare. You don't see that a lot in the finals,
No, you don't. As you would know,
Rotom
Jake,
is
as someone who's very versed in VGC.
Yeah, no, do you hear how confidently I can do that though? That's
right. It says something.
Acting.
What about you, Sav?
I've been very much doing a lot of the same thing. VGC is very much a part of my bandwidth right now. I just started doing the VGC thing myself with mixed results, but mostly hilarious ones, so that's okay.
Yeah, and you've been a big fan of Zach Emerson, and he made it all the way to the semis today.
He made it to the finals. He was in
finals. Shouts out.
He brought
the finals.
Easy Bake Oven to the finals, and it was such a cool journey watching him go from start to finish, because I think they streamed every single one of his matches.
I love any team that results in a nickname of Easy Bake Oven. That's awesome,
Yeah.
It's
well, I mean, it's literally, it's Rotom Heat. It's a sentient oven, right? He literally has oven
like
mitts,
a toaster
right?
oven.
Oh, that's the centipede-looking flame Pokemon thing, right?
No, we're talking about Rotom when he goes. Rotom has a different
Okay.
forms that he can go into, and he can jump into a heater, like an oven, right? And he becomes a sentient oven, and it becomes an electric and fire type.
I haven't seen this.
I'll send you a picture of it.
He possesses a lawnmower or a little freezer. Yeah, like he's got a fan. He's got a whole array.
Yeah, you got Rotom
washing
Fan,
machine.
Rotom Mo. That's Rotom Heat is what it is. Rotom
It's a
Heat.
living. That's what
It's a living.
Dude's doing everything in the house.
For real.
Awesome. Well, guys, we have a great show planned for you. Let's get right into the headlines. But first, Caper Doodle, do that dandy.
Cue music.
Tonight at 11.
Gruesome! Emergency meteor warning system.
In other news,
That sucks.
No, it really does. It hurt. Oh, this is on me, by the way, Cape. I don't know why you're on Savage. Anyway, first up in the headlines this week, which, you know, was packed with all the nerdy news you need to know. It's the first half of it is honestly just from Star Wars Celebration 2022. We've not got quite everything that's been announced so far because there's still a few things that I had to leave off the list, or either this would have just been an entire Star Wars show. But the biggest one that has got a lot of people talking has been the Andor trailer that just released. A new Disney Plus original streaming with that's going to be starring Diego Luna's Cassian Andor will officially premiere. Oh yeah, no, I know. On August 31st, 2022. Alongside the release date news, Disney also shared the first teaser trailer for the series that takes place 5 years prior to Rogue One, so we're still in the prequels. It was also confirmed that I would fuck up confirmed, right? You know, like I think. But anyway, it was also confirmed that Andor's first season will consist of 12 episodes, and a second part is in the works with another 12 episodes, so 24 total episodes. Have you guys had a chance to check out the trailer yet? And if so, what are your first thoughts on it?
My first thoughts are give me more throat singing in Star Wars, okay? That's what I want to see, all right? First off, love that we're not on a sand planet, all right? Tatooine,
yes,
it's
great.
Yes. It's great. Glad we're not there right now, okay?
Yeah.
And Kenobi's been doing that a little bit more too, even though we're all presumed that the whole damn plot is in Tatooine. But honestly, Rogue One was a huge, fantastical Star Wars adventure. People wanted to know more about it. I'm super excited to see more about Cassian Andor, and I really love the take that they're going on here. It feels very much like a Star Wars story. This feels like... So, one of the big things that we've heard from Star Wars Celebration is the transition from what Star Wars used to be of this big episodic movie trilogies to what it is now of more of TV departments. And this seems to be like they're taking those core Star Wars stories and making them into TV series. And I'm for it, man.
Yeah, no, and they have such a huge amount of these. I mean, Wikipedia back in the day, if they want to go ahead and just make everything canon again, we could have a billion Disney Plus shows over here. Yeah. You know what I mean? Oh, but what about you, Sav? Did you get a chance to check out the trailer? Any first thoughts?
I did get to see it. I sit in a weird middle area on it. I am excited to see kind of the expansion of the drama that Rogue One created. I really liked that story. It's one of my favorite Star Wars
Rogue
stories.
One was great. It was a lot of fun.
But I guess this isn't a character in-depth exploration that I was really like excited about. Not for any particular reason, just kind of like I didn't really care. But I'm excited to see how it's going to, just further expand and introduce more characters into Star Wars, which, they'll probably throw into other properties further down the line, because that's sort of how the Star Wars method and Disney Plus method is creating itself.
The machine.
It's a self-replicating AI at this point. But I'm excited to see it. Like, it looks cool. It looks very dramatic gravitas. But I mean, we'll see what happens.
My biggest hope is that we get a chance to see like the origin of him and Alan Tudyk's droid that he did. And the beginning of their relationships, that would be absolutely amazing. But I mean, like, honestly, my biggest complaint about Rogue One was that everyone died at the end, right? That was one of the like all those throwing away all those characters.
The ending kind of thing.
Right, throwing away all the those characters at the end really was disappointing. But now, if we're gonna go backwards and we're gonna see those stories from the beginning, I'm super excited to see that.
Yeah, no, I think Rogue One was possibly one of my favorite Star Wars stories we've ever gotten. Like I know that's only possible because of everything else, right? Because it was one of those smack dab in the middle movies. Because I mean, we don't want to talk about the last three, but anyway, we've also I have to. Before I move into the next one, I do have to touch on, and we'll touch on this a little bit in Kenobi, it was refreshing to not see that fucking desert planet.
Yeah.
That was really good. It's good to finally be off Tatooine. I know in Star Wars it feels like all roads lead to Tatooine, but it's like
Right.
Jesus
It's
Christ,
getting to be like the Joker in Batman, right?
it
Like,
really is. It is.
it's-
I feel like Lucas Arts or Lucas Films or whatever, they got like I feel like someone somewhere has them in some sort of draconian contract where they have to use that fucking like set
Several
or something.
draconian
You know what I mean?
contracts.
Tatooine is just
Like-
a really interesting planet, right? It's obvious. It's easy to distinguish poverty on
It's Earth.
Tatooine.
It's Earth technically.
Tatooine,
Like, they've like
Tatooine-
they've made
it's a
it their
big-
Earth
It's a
is
giant
what it is,
metaphor
yeah.
planet. Is why
Yeah.
it's so good, right? Because you have the sand people that can represent like native cultures. You have all these things that are very very like the,
Can we
the
still say that?
moisture farmers. Like, is there anything that sounds more just like groveling than farming for moisture in a desert? Right? Is there
Oh,
anything
man.
that sounds?
But that's gonna be
more-
that sounds like a realistic job that we'll one day have.
So-
right?
Tatooine is a metaphor planet. Sure, I'll give you that. That's great. But aesthetic, I don't care about any more stories on it's fucking desert.
Yeah,
Desert.
it's gonna be good to get off
it's
of it.
Desert. It's different kinds of desert with some cool vehicles to get from desert to desert. Like, it's desert. We're talking
get
about
from-
a universe that is so huge and
Massive.
expansive. It contains
Massive,
so
yeah.
many different kinds of life forms and like cultures. Like the fact that so much of the content and the stories we get to see are on a desert.
But it is like Nelly just pointed out. It's made cheap. It's cheap. It's the desert. It's just they can just import a bunch of sand,
Okay,
which then,
don't have
which
to do
then,
anything. Yeah.
and which then I've thought about it. And what is it? Is it Kashyyyk? Isn't that where the
Where
Chewie's
the
from?
Wookiees are from? Yeah.
It's just
Chic.
trees.
Chic.
Okay, but those are giant
just
trees.
trees.
Right? Those are supposed
Yeah,
to be.
that's big. You just make
giant
big trees.
I mean, if you do like the
Easy.
redwood forest, I feel like you could always film
Yeah,
there pretty much.
Easy done.
Right? But we
Or
can get off
interesting
Not to
Tatooine
bitch
later.
about Tatooine the whole time. We also
Right.
got some awesome news from Jedi Survivor was announced, which is the first sequel from Jedi. I think it was Fallen Order, which I'm very excited for. That game was really, really good.
was
And this
so
picks up right where that game left off. How excited are you guys for for this one? I know Fallen Order was just a phenomenal game. What did you guys feel about it? I'd heard Sav a little bit there. Savage, how did you feel about Fallen Order?
I loved Fallen Order. Fallen Order was such a very good game. It's a very good game, and it still cared enough about itself to tell a very, very good story. I love
Yeah.
Cal Kestis. I love his character arc. I'm very, very excited to see how they expand upon it.
Jedi.
They talked about some of my favorite parts of the Star Wars cultural universe, like the entire thing with on Dathomir with the Night Sisters. I could go on and on. I fucking loved it. It was so good.
Yeah. I mean, I love the crew in Jedi Survivor so much. Cameron Mahagad. I want him as a
One
Jedi.
hand.
I want him to show up in Kenobi. Like, I think Cal Kestis has so much potential as a Jedi, and it's just a fun story to have there. So I'm super excited to see more of it. Now we do see at the end of this trailer that we stumble up on someone in a Bacta tank. Now, the big stipulation and the big like kind of rumor that's been going around in our Discord was that it's Starkiller. But do you guys have any other guesses of who could be at the Bacta tank at the end of this trailer?
Man.
Not a one. I have
Not one?
absolutely
I
And
know
it's
I
fair
idea
because like
who it
Jedi
could
Fallen
be.
Order also brings in completely new characters too.
If
Right.
it was Starkiller, so we're talking that's from what were those? What were
Force
the name
Unleashed.
of those games? Yeah, Force Unleashed. Those games were fucking
Right.
awesome, by the way. The reason why they couldn't make those canon is because Starkiller would literally be like that dude. Like he would, you
Yeah.
know, like he's overpowered.
Yeah.
And so like he would just come in and like literally tear ships
But
out
in a
of the
very
sky.
Sith way, like it makes sense for like Darth Vader to kill him off and be like, oh, he got too powerful, and so Vader snuffed him out, because that's very much what the Sith do, you know?
Oh yeah, no, 100%. The rules of 2 or 3 or whatever the fuck it is. Yeah.
Rule of two, yeah.
Rule of
Yeah.
two.
Yeah. Three's Company or whatever it is.
Three's a crowd.
But anyway,
Three's stable and
That's
We're
what
not
the
even
real rule of two
halfway.
is. They're just Sith. They're just like
three's a crowd. Yeah, guys, come on.
What's the rule of two? That three is a crowd. Don't have three. It's a bad number. We don't like those.
3's 13. Anyway, But speaking of threes, Mandalorian season 3 footage previews Mando's redemption and looming conflict with Bo-Katan. And then so I know a lot of people are really excited about this. Did you guys get a chance to check out the kind of like teaser footage they gave from that?
I saw a little bit of it. Yeah. I think that it's definitely the storyline I want to see right now. One, I'm super excited for Mando Grogu. Right, because Grogu's a Mandalorian now, right? He chose the path.
Yeah,
of the
he chose.
Mandalorian.
He's not a Jedi technically. I mean, he's got the powers. They can't take those powers from you.
So, all right. So we just talked about the rule of 2, right? And we saw in Kenobi that the Inquisitors exist, right? So we know that there are people that can use the Force that
aren't Jedi.
That aren't Jedis, just as much as there are people that can use the Force that aren't Sith. And so, like, this is going to be a Mandalorian that has essentially some Force powers with him, and I think that's gonna be a pretty badass little Mando.
No, it will be. Especially if no one can ever just get the ability to run up and punt him. Because that would be no.
Hey, look, a giant mudhorn tried before in like the season.
I know. He's put up some good fights. He's gonna be epic whenever they jump. I guess like what is it like? Gonna take 500 years in the future whenever he's actually like Yoda size. And can like just straight up do some cool Yoda shit, like prequel style. But anyway, we also got the Tales of the Jedi, a new animated series featuring how do I say this one? Okashana?
Ahsoka Tano.
Boom. Count Dooku, which I do know. And Liam Neeson's going to be Qui-Gon Jinn again, which is pretty fucking awesome. And it's a new, anthology series, animated shorts, essentially kind of like, what was it, Visions that came out last year, earlier this year. And we're going to get to see Count Dooku in different parts of their life. And then with Liam Neeson returning as Qui-Gon Jinn, I know a lot of people are going to be super excited for this one, including myself. It sounds like right now, the prequel fans are getting the fan service. You know what I mean? Like...
Yeah, that's fair.
Right,
They're not necessarily like saying like, "Hey, let's dive into this new shit."
You know what? I will say this on air. Bring the camera over to me for a second. I'm gonna tell you something right now.
Oh,
I'm a prequels man.
Dramatic.
Okay, I'm gonna say this right now. I'm a prequels man.
Always
prequels are the best series of the Star Wars series. I'm saying it. I know it's audacious to say it beats the original trilogy, but you know what? The prequel series tells you more about the politics and sets up more of Star Wars than anything else. The prequels, in my opinion, are the best of the Star Wars series, and I'm glad we're getting Tales of the Jedi to go back into those prequel settings. All right, you heard it here first, folks.
More. Yeah, I mean, and everybody, the people, they've been clamoring about the Clone Wars the whole time. That's prequel settings. You know what I mean? Like, it's all been a part of this whole thing to show the prequel superiority. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I've never understood the hate for him, and
Hayden Christensen was not that bad.
Okay? Not bad at all.
I'm not saying he was great, all right? But I'm saying that he was not that bad.
Was not the reason why that movie's enjoyable.
That he was not that bad, and he had showed a lot of emotion, especially in Revenge of the Sith. Okay, he was one of the best actors of that. I mean, yeah, he was not that bad. Okay,
he was not bad, but he was not the reason, not the highest reason that film was enjoyable.
Right.
There was a lot of
reason. He was not Ewan McGregor.
Yeah, that is true. He was not McGregor. But I will say that, like, overall, people, he gets a lot of hate, but I think, like, the biggest one that I've always heard is the Jar Jar Binks slander, As if, like, whenever I was a kid, Jar Jar didn't...
All right, you didn't have to bring that in.
Well, no, Jar Jar slapped. Jar Jar still slaps to this day. I think he's awesome. Great character. Darth Jar Jar. It's confirmed. Like, it's true. It's headcanon to me anyway. And so, like, if you think about it if you rewatch everything thinking that he's some kind of like Sith Lord, then it makes for a great
makes total sense. Big Inquisitor energy.
Justice for Jar Jar in the chat.
Justice for Jar Jar. I mean, he's not any more or less annoying to me than Ewoks. You know what I mean? Like, So
Ewoks are at least endearingly small.
Supersonic Flash in there says, I heard the game picks up 5 years after Fallen Order.
I may have fucked that up.
If that's the case, though,
that's possible.
Yeah. If that's the case, then we're definitely going to see that relationship between him and that kind of abandoned night sister. I can't remember what her name was. Develop a lot more. It would be very interesting to see her as a possibly a playable character.
And
Which
you know,
I would just be beside myself for.
That's why that was bait.
oh, to have an additional like playable character in there. Yeah, that'd be
especially,
a lot of fun.
especially a nice
You could do a lot of cool
character.
shit like with the Force, and especially like everything. If you made it almost kind of like a what was it? One of the Batman Arkham games. Whenever Robin
Right.
kind of jumps in every now and then, and you
Yeah.
have like fights where you can do those together. Where
Oh, yeah.
maybe she's not there like the entire time. You know what I mean? But then like certain times you have to do stuff in tandem, or just a
I'd love
completely
it.
separate playable character. I think that'd be dope too. So
Absolutely.
Change
Um,
up the mechanics, refresh them a little bit by add something new in.
But
Yeah.
we also got a confirmation that the next Star Wars movie will be directed by none other than
Come on
now I'm
now.
just gonna fuck up all names. Takiki Watiti in
Taika Waititi.
2023.
What?
Yeah, Taka Watiti. There we go.
Taika
Taika
Waititi.
Waititi.
I'm
We got
sorry.
you.
I'm super. Anyway, in 2023. So that means next year we'll get that one. And you know, this is going to be the next Star Wars movie. Lucasfilm's already confirmed it. Studio president Kathleen Kennedy, easy one to say, said in an interview with the Total Film that that next entry in the sci-fi series will hit theaters in late 2023. And you know, speaking of Watiti, we've also got Thor: Love and Thunder's new trailer, which just came out, and so that showed off the retired god and his friends. So Watiti's been doing a lot, guys. I mean, and I know right
Yeah.
before we dive straight into the
busy.
trailer and everything that we got there, besides me murdering the pronunciation of his name, the dude's done phenomenal fucking work. You know, Ragnarok was awesome, and it's just clear that Disney's saying like, hey, you know, give us some of that Marvel love that you gave and revamp Star Wars for us real quick. So what do you guys think about the next Star Wars? And right before we get into Thor, which I think like this movie looks fucking awesome too.
Right.
You know, like what do you guys think we'll see out of his Star Wars?
I hope that we'll see a Star Wars that beats to a little bit of a different beat, just like how Thor: Love and Thunder and Thor Ragnarok beat to a lot different beat than the rest of the Thor movies, right? Like Taika Waititi has a great job of taking things that are super serious and then putting a little bit of a humor into it, but also a much bigger, deeper meaning, right? We talk about how Thor Ragnarok was such a fun movie and all this stuff, but there's big growth points for all of the characters in that movie. And and so like especially for Hulk and Thor in particular. And so like
And they're fun.
Right? It's a fun journey,
again.
right? And you know what? Taika Waititi isn't afraid to show some male ass cheeks. I'm just
Which
gonna
is
say
fun.
it, right? Which is great. We've always wanted to know what the Hulk's ass looks like, and you know what, folks? We got it. We got Ragnaroked by that ass, okay? And that was great. You know, I'm glad that and so maybe that's what we'll get, right? Maybe we'll get some Darth Maul ass in Taika Waititi, right? Who wouldn't want to see that? Like, does he have tattoos down there? You know, we'll find out.
I think so.
Hopefully.
I think so.
I mean, obviously.
What if his kneecaps got little horns on them though? You know what I mean? Like, or what? Like that's
All right. He's
I'm
got
excited.
a crown of horns right around his ass too.
Oh, dude, like a really odd dermal
That'd be
piercing.
metal
you know
as
what I mean?
shit.
Like
It's
yeah,
not.
like it would be.
I
I
don't
don't want
how
to kink
about
shame.
that.
Anyway,
Don't know how I feel about that. I'm excited. I'm excited to see what he does with Star Wars because, like, if anything, I think Star Wars is overdue for just a good infusion of just charm. Like, I need it to be charming again, and I think he's the perfect person to do that based on everything he's done so far. But with Marvel and just like his own original stuff, I mean, Our Flag Means Death was just the most charming piece of television.
I need to finish that.
that I've
I
seen
only,
in
I only watched
years.
the first like 2 episodes,
You-
but I always loved.
you
You
What
need to
was
stop
Doing
your
in the
Stranger
Shadows.
Things marathon right now, and you need to finish that. That's so fucking good.
Absolutely,
It is
dude.
primo.
Yeah.
It is,
I'd
it
like-
is the peak Taika Waititi. It is the best thing that he's created.
I feel
Right
like
there.
we're all like really over enunciating his name now because we're subconscious about how we pronounce it, and it sounds really odd. But
Now it's one
We
of those
just
things
keep
where
going.
no, what is it? Whenever like what
Overcorrecting
happens-
for Jake.
No. Whenever you hear a word so much, then it starts to be like, no, that's not how that sounds. You know what I mean? Like that's
Right.
not right. Like I saw somebody do it with knife one time. I think it was like, and then after you say it so many times, yeah, you're like, nah, it's not right. Like,
Doesn't sound right.
but anyway,
Cuddy thing.
you know, so
Lots of words.
but he's been super busy. He does a lot of awesome work, and the new trailer for Thor: Love and Thunder showed off, some more of Jane Foster fucking as Thor, which was obviously played as Natalie Portman, Teresa Tompkins, Valkyrie,
Jack.
and for Christian Bale's Gore, the God Butcher, obviously, which we will have an awesome video for that. Wait, do we have that today?
I think we do.
Are we gonna play that? When do we? Wait. Hold on. We didn't
got
even
it.
discuss that. When do we want to play that? Do we want to play that right now, or do we want to play that at the end of this before the?
I think people we want to know who Gore the God Butcher is. Roll the Gore the God Butcher.
Yeah, roll it.
We rolling it? Let's roll it.
We're not gonna roll it. Then we can wait. I
That's
didn't know
fine.
when. I just wanted to do like.
We may not be able to roll it, but we thought we
Actually,
could.
We may roll it later. So, wait till the break. Okay, there we go. So for the producer,
Okay.
we're waiting for the break.
That's good.
But anyway, it had Gore the God Butcher,
Spring.
which you will find out who that is at the break. If you don't already know from a billion videos that have been done. Jesus Christ, everybody jumped on Gore so fucking quick. But along with the main cast from the Thor movies, Love and Thunder also includes the Guardians of the Galaxy. We get to see a little bit of Chris Pratt. We get to see a little bit of Dave Bautista again, and voices of Bradley Cooper and Vin Diesel obviously are there. I always forget that Diesel plays fucking Groot, but I mean, I think it's because like the line's so subtle. But it may be in the script. I don't know. I can't read. Anyway, but then we got to see Russell Crowe as Zeus too, which was pretty fucking awesome. The Greek god of thunder and a lot of other stuff in this trailer. So I know that
fucking awful.
I know that we'll have the whole breakdown on Gore later, but come on, Bell is looking really awesome in this trailer. Am I right? Like, how excited are you guys for this next Thor movie?
I think that they waited to release this trailer until Marilyn Manson got cleared of the recent sexual assault allegations to know that this look was okay to use.
Yeah.
But I think it works, right? I think one, I did a lot of research for Gore, and I love Gore, the God Butcher. I mean, his arc is, I talk about it in the video, but it's like everybody that went to Catholic school with back in the day, right? I mean, you grow up, you become an atheist, your family rejects you, so you get a black necro sword and kill your gods.
That's how we all did it.
That's how we all did it, right? And I'm glad that
it's just like a few years after confirmation.
That's the atheism pipeline 101.
Right, that's just how you go, right? And Christian Bale as a renowned method actor, he really takes his role seriously, and so I appreciate the fact that he to prepare for this role he went and killed God. That was we really needed that, especially this fucking week. But yeah, this thing looks sick. Am I a little disappointed that we're not gonna get the fucking Voldemort meets Twalik kind of Gore the God Butcher that we've seen in the comics a little bit, but like this.
It's just like how Bell performs. I can't wait for him to dive in and do just this whole method acty bullshit with this one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what about you, Sav? What are you feeling about after? What are your first initial reactions to the trailer?
I'm insanely excited to see Jane Foster's Thor. Very, very cool to see how they do that character, because I know how they do her in the comics, and I'm interested to see what parts of the story translate over. And also, she just looks fucking awesome. Like
I said, her and Chris Hemsworth next to each other, they look like swole mates. You know what I mean?
Swole mates, absolutely. I'm very excited to see more of Tessa Thompson's Valkyrie as well. I found her character to be immensely enjoyable in Ragnarok.
Valkyrie was really cool.
But very, very far and most importantly, I am insanely excited for Gore as well. I love how they make his character physically look, but I love the atmosphere they're giving his character. Every scene that he's in is either shifting to grayscale or completely black and white, except for his eyes, and like that is a very, very cool aesthetic choice, and I'm really, really excited to see how that like incorporates into the movie.
Oh yeah, no, same. I think just how his aesthetic and everything is really cool, and so like, and Bell's, I think, is just gonna destroy this fucking
That whole
movie.
zealous, like emaciated monk
Yeah.
thing, like
Yeah.
I'm here for it. That looks really, really good.
But and I had mentioned a little bit, Jane and Thor looking like swole mates. Was there anything else that you guys noticed in the details, or maybe have watched already that Voss picked apart that you're really excited for that could possibly be in this movie?
So here's one thing that I noticed: the third appearance of the Living Tribunal. Okay, in one of the scenes we see Jane Foster, where she's like striking her lightning up and doing all this stuff, right?
Yeah.
As soon as she does that, you can see these gods around her. You got Death on one side, you've got the Living Tribunal on another, you've got a couple of other deities, I think possibly Eternity as one of them. So honestly, the third appearance of the Living Tribunal, are we gonna get anything more than cameos, or do you think we could actually see something in the Marvel universe regarding this character?
Oh man, I'm hoping we just get all the gods. You know what I mean? Like, go ahead and just roll them all out.
I know, right?
That's sort of the governing Marvel like spiritual truth is that like everything exists. Like,
Marvel spiritual awakening.
Yeah, like it's like they're all true. I think they might delve into a lot of that actually in this movie. I mean, Gore the God Butcher kills any god, so it's probably because obviously it's going to play into the Olympian pantheon. It's going to probably obviously play into Thor's. Yeah, this is definitely both an exploration to more of like the more cosmic sides of Marvel, but also the more like mystical sides of Marvel, and those are the parts I've always been really, really excited about.
They're a lot of fun. It's always really cool to get into, which I think is also why this next story is a really cool one, because Sony has announced that Horizon series for Netflix and a God of War series for Amazon, and a future Gran Turismo show.
There we go.
No one really cares about that. And so, but speaking of the Pantheon, 3 major PlayStation franchises are getting TV adaptations, with Horizon going to Netflix, God of War going to Amazon, and Gran Turismo going to a currently unannounced platform or network. Revealed in an investor briefing on May 26 and confirmed by industry insiders, included David Gibson on Twitter, Sony president Jim Ryan revealed during a Q&A with the company that the company is going to start to expand its entertainment adaptations even further. The long-rumored God of War series and other shows will join PlayStation exclusives, including The Last of Us, Uncharted, and even a Ghost of Tsushima, which is being adapted to another media as well. Although there's no kind of like indication of when the series is going to be released, but I know that a lot of people are going to be super excited for this one. So since we've already seen Kratos smash in the game, right? Like Kratos, I think God of War 1, it was even a mini game. It was like you were fucking some broads. What could they shock us with in this one? Because Amazon was like, okay, we got Master Chief. Guess what? He's gonna lose his virginity.
I think
but Kratos lost his V card, so.
Yeah, I think that the most likely one that we could see is just a very, very brutal death.
Many brutal deaths.
Yeah.
Many.
Are we still going here, guys? It looks like. I think we are. I think, yeah, if we get a very, very brutal death with, like anything like God of War 3, where I was using the 2 joysticks to like gouge the dude's eyes out.
Is that Helios?
Yeah, the Helios.
That was metal as fuck. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a very, very savage death. I will be slightly disappointed, only slightly though, if we don't in fact get Christopher Judge to play Kratos again, because, man, he was such a good Kratos.
What, has he played him before, or is that the voice actor?
He was the voice actor for
Kratos
every time every appearance.
Why don't they just get do the Liberty Mutual commercial thing where they just dub
He
his
was
voice?
also
You
he was
know what I
also
mean? Like,
in the
Right.
Stargate SG-1 series. Like
Yeah.
he was in that for like all fucking 11 seasons of it or whatever.
Well, he's got the. It sounds like he's got the chops, so I don't see why not. But but no, I mean, I'm really
Makeup would
excited.
be expensive.
I know that is this just PlayStation trying to catch up with Halo to you guys, or what do you guys think? Like, is this just a natural kind of like progression of the entertainment industry, right? Like Halo gets a series, so now obviously Kratos has to get a series, right? Like
I think
God
they're gonna
of
try
War.
to experiment with it, but the Halo series wasn't really that great, right?
Yeah,
It
no, it's
really,
garbage. I think Paramount also is a terrible one to go with. Like Amazon,
Yeah.
they've got some money.
Right.
Know, like they could probably put some. But I mean, at 10 million an episode, it's not like they were really Paramount was really like skimping out on Halo or anything. I think it just didn't land. It was just a bad.
Yeah, it just missed. It just missed. I mean, I feel like this is both a natural like progression of kind of the entertainment industry as a whole, but also like Nelly made a very very good point in chat. Like Sony is like gradually losing some of their other IPs, like big things like Marvel. So like they have to start like trying to find other ways to capitalize on some of those IPs. And like their version of like PlayStation Super Smash Brothers didn't work out very well. So like let's make a TV show. Let's see what happens there. And they're choosing a lot of very aesthetically very developed and pretty things that could translate into TV pretty well.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, come on, like God of War was gorgeous. Horizon Zero Dawn is famously gorgeous. Like,
yeah, no, Horizon's a beautiful game. So like that could transition really well on screen. And I think same with God of War, because like if you look at it like that whole like Spartan vibe, just which it'll be interesting to see what era of God of War we see, right? Like, will it be the new Norse? Will it be the old kind of like pantheon of Greece and stuff like that? Like, where will it land? As far as like, what are we gonna see from God of War has went a long ways from where it originated, right? Like, and so it's gonna be really interesting to see like what part of the history of Kratos they choose to kind of go with to make
starting
the series.
from the beginning would be best.
yeah,
it would be dope to see. Especially considering that those.
But which
games
beginning, right? The Greek beginning or the Norse beginning, right? He kind of restarts over in the Norse mythology.
Yeah, in a way. But no, I think. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I think very much you could start from him in his like North mythology like setting, and reboot from there. Now, if you're trying to look for like covering what niche is not on TV right now, I mean, like Spartacus has like been off the air for several years, right? Might as well take that.
That's what I was
place
thinking. Like, if
there's a lot of Norse
and that shit
cultural
was so good.
programming
right? Vikings
right
and stuff
now.
like that has been really
Yeah.
popular right now. So that,
Norseman, the Northern King,
Right,
or whatever.
right.
This
Yeah.
new,
Yeah.
so if you're trying to go for what's not there, go
And
for the
it's
Greek
like-
roots,
Yeah, do we need all that with all the white supremacy going on?
off of that,
True.
I hate even making that joke
corruption of Norse
because
culture. Absolutely.
I hate even making that joke because I love like Norse shit, and I hate whenever they kind of get like thrown in, with like all of that bullshittery, because it's just like, dude, allow me to like Thor, without your racist bullshit.
It's like,
For real,
I just
for
thought
real.
his hammer.
I like Odin's a cool god.
Yeah.
But
But
anyway,
speaking of things from your childhood that feel corrupted now.
exactly. Winnie the Pooh is being reimagined as a horror film with a bizarre plot. The childhood classic Winnie the
So
Pooh
here
from
for
author
this.
A.A. Millen was made its way into the public domain starting this year, or starting the beginning of the year. Ending decades-long protection under the United States copyright laws. As a result, the iconic bear is now openly available to the public to reimagine, which has opened the door to a twisted retelling of the beloved character in a new horror film entitled Winnie the Pooh: Blood and Honey. So, which is hilarious. The upcoming indie horror film wrapped up filming earlier this month and comes from director Rias Frake Waterfield, which awesome name, anyway, who has also wrote and co-produced the reimagined product.
Read that.
The buzz surrounding Winnie the Pooh: Blood and Honey began surfacing when images appeared earlier, like I think probably like 2 weeks ago. You guys, I think a lot of people have probably seen images from this by now, right? Like it's
They're
been
horrible.
yeah.
They're
Look,
so
we
good.
even have
Yeah,
the
there we
content
go.
window.
We have-
I literally didn't even look at the content window. God damn it. Those things are fucking awful. Is this the best image you could get for that too? That even looks worse than they do on the thing.
It's literally fire fuel. That's a terrifying mask. It nails the job.
The buzz, surrounding this came out whenever we saw these fucking terrifying masks, obviously, and the iconic characters were seen like kind of hideously standing behind a young woman, mirroring devilishly figures from notable horror films. So like this whole thing just looks like it's gonna play into a lot of tropes, but with Winnie the Pooh. But have you guys seen these images? I know like you were talking about a little bit, Sav. Have you seen some of the screenshots from it? It's pure nightmare fuel.
Yeah. I've parsed through every single one that I can. I love those. I love B slasher horror movies. Like there's some really, really good ones out there. They're like equal parts wonderful and horrifying to watch. It this like totally hits that vein for me. And the fact that it's also just Winnie the Pooh on top of that, like I want to see like do we get like any homage kills? Like is he gonna nail like a piece of like leather in the middle of a woman's back like Eeyore's tail? Like how far are they gonna take it? Like I'm excited. I think this is cool.
I read a little bit about the plot, and it sounds like, I think, what is it, Christopher Robin or whatever, like the little boy. He forgets to like go into the 100-acre wood. He doesn't feed them, and so then they start like kind of having to become cannibals, and they go back to being like almost like feral. Is what like the plot of this is essentially. So like this is supposed to be like a feral, like a normal wild. So like from tame to feral again.
When you forget your friends.
Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. That's why he kind of looks like a warthog, because he's kind of like starting to go back into being like an actual like warthog or something. And so like it's supposed to be like a predator versus prey kind of like thing where they're like actually like a bear and a warthog. It's gonna be pretty fucking crazy. But yeah, I know. Thanks. I hate it.
It's easily hateable. Hateable.
Well, that'll about wrap it up for our headlines this week. I know it was a Star Wars heavy one, but we're going to keep talking more about some Star Wars. So we've got some hot takes on Disney Plus's newest entry into the Star Wars universe, Kenobi. But first, Doodle, do that, Dandy.
And has Dandy?
Oh wait,
Dandy has been doodled.
It is. Oh, this other screen isn't up there.
Yeah.
Hello there. After years of waiting around, waiting around the desert like a hermit, Star Wars Obi-Wan Kenobi has finally debuted on Disney Plus. The new series has already managed to surprise fans and subvert some expectations in the first 2 episodes, including the appearance of several familiar faces from the Star Wars movies. Tonight, we wanted to give our first reactions to the first 2 episodes of Kenobi. So obviously, there's going to be some spoilers ahead, which I know we kind of covered that in the whole intro there. It even says spoilers, but whatever, in case you didn't see. But anyway, have you guys had a chance to check out the first 2 episodes? How are you feeling so far?
Of course I did. Of course I checked out the first 2 episodes. I fucking
know, what kind of question is
love
that on here, right?
Kenobi, right? I don't know why. I've talked to Ryan about this a lot. Kenobi is one of my favorite characters in Star Wars of all time, and particularly Ewan McGregor's Kenobi. I loved it. Like my reaction is that gif of like Thor where he has the mug and another, and I'm so excited. First off, I know that most people weren't thinking about this, but the next episode of Kenobi comes out on Wednesday, not on Friday. Right,
yeah,
so we don't even have to wait till another Friday for this.
They
we
only
just get
did
this in a couple of
Friday
days
because of like the postponement, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So that's really exciting. We don't even have to have that long of a wait for the next Kenobi episode. And from start to finish, this is like the choices that he makes here really reflect of how defeated you would feel after something like Anakin's betrayal. Betrayal. I don't know why I emphasized
Betrayal.
the B there. Betrayal.
Be trial.
But
Been betrayed.
yeah, I feel it's very fitting. I think it's fitting
Yeah.
for the character. I think that these are the natural paces that the story would take. Sav, what do you think?
I like everything I've seen so far. I'm excited to see some of this era of prequel. It's in the same like that post Order 66 immediate universe. I think it's a very interesting time to explore a lot of Star Wars because
Jedi's running around.
well, because there's so many ways that event impacted so many different kinds of people in so many different ways, and I like exploring kind of each one of those and from a different perspective. And I think we've never really seen what Kenobi's was until this,
Right.
and I think we're getting to see finally a huge piece of his story that's always just been kind of like gray smudged over. And aside from that, like I'm very, very excited for the early look into Leia's life, which I guess we can get into later, but I think that's very cool too.
We'll definitely dive into that because like I think that's like actually like I said, we'll dive into that because
We'll dive into that later.
Yeah,
I
because
saw on the script, it's a couple down.
yeah, it's a couple down. And so, but what have you guys liked? What has been an immediate no, I guess? Like, because, you know, this is kind of Disney still trying to figure out this whole Star Wars universe, right? And so, like, what have you guys liked about the series immediately? What have you guys not liked about the series? And we'll start with you, Sav.
I think most of what I haven't liked are just some of the, like, executions of the characters. Like, just from like a specifically dramatic point of view, like sometimes there are just certain lines when they're said, I'm just like, ugh,
Oh yeah.
like the sci-fi cringe element hits
Child
hits
actors.
super sharp.
Child actors in general. As soon as I saw, because like, you know what? Fuck it. Actually, we'll go right into the Leia thing. Because as soon as I saw Leia, I was like, oh my god, I think I know what they're gonna do with this, which is gonna be like, you know, obviously, episode what I guess 4, you know, A New Hope. Picks up with old Ben Kenobi, you know,
Right.
this guy, you know, he's obviously, he knows who Luke is and everything at that point, kind of a thing. And that's Uncle Ben, you know, and but then
Right.
like, you know, then so it's like he's had that connection with Luke, he's been training him or whatever, but then like now we're getting to see like why Leia called him and said, "You're my only hope," and like all that shit, right? Because, you know, you really don't know why would Leia call, you know, old Uncle Ben over here besides like maybe some
totally
shit she had
random.
heard, right? And so
No, well,
like
not only that she knows his name is Obi-Wan.
yeah,
right?
Obi-Wan. Yeah.
And like for Luke at the time, he's only referring to him as Ben Kenobi, and like he doesn't
It's almost like Leia knows more than Luke. You know what I mean?
Yes,
He definitely does.
And I mean, and we're finding out how, right? And like, there's a lot of little call outs. I watched the episode twice. And where she's like, "Prove to me you're a Jedi, right? Make me float, right?" Well, he ends up doing that, right? Exactly that. I loved the biggest thing about Leia being here that I liked the most was seeing Alderaan, right? I've played in Alderaan in SWOTAR a lot. Alderaan's a lot of fun to play, and I think actually in one of my last streams that you that's on my channel, I'm on Alderaan. It's a very cool planet. They have these big like fucking sky orcas, which are like big flying, you know, they're called Thranthras. They're these big pretty things. It's all mountains,
there's way
and
cooler
forest.
planets than Tatooine.
Right. And so I'm glad
gorgeous.
I'm just glad that we're seeing Alderaan, because we know like post episode 4, there's not a possibility to see Alderaan, and then prior to that in the prequels they never visited Alderaan, so at least we're finally going to be there, right? You know. And there's also a cool kind of aspect of Alderaan, which is like Naboo, where like royalty and all these things are very, very important. Being part of House Organa is a super noble house, and we didn't really like what Princess Organa, like we don't, who the fuck is she the princess over? We're gonna get to a little bit of like the Legends people understand how important her role is there, but I think for the general audience out there, I think that this is gonna be a lot better explanation of it. And I just think that the writing really did Carrie Fisher proud, right? Like this feels like the Leia that absolutely should be there. She should be kicking and screaming and like, like being distrustful of authority all along the way.
She's so
Like,
quick. She's so quick.
Yeah.
She calls people so fast on their shit. Just like,
Well, I like how they've showed basically she has the force. That's kind of what
Yeah.
they've been trying to allude to, is like, because she can kind of do this force sense of folks, right? Where it's like, you know, and which is like kind of like, obviously Leia's always been
you're
known as a
lying
great.
to me.
Yeah, exactly. Like she has super women's intuition, you know. Like,
At the age
right.
of 8 or
Yeah.
10 or however old she is. Like,
Right.
that's
that was gonna be
terrifying.
one of my immediate no's as child actors. I never like them. Like, I always think it takes
Yeah.
away from something. But honestly, this little kid, I think she's done, you know, a young Carrie Fisher, I think would be happy, you know, kind of like seeing how she's portrayed like a little Leia, if you will, right?
Yeah.
And then seeing Kamal come out in that first episode was actually super hilarious as well.
I wanted to talk to you
pretending
about
be
this character.
You what?
I wanted to talk about this character a bit more. I'm glad you brought him up.
Oh, the Magic Man coming out with like
Yeah.
the fucking magnets and shit. I thought that was
Yes,
hilarious. I love how he like had a friend already and calls him up and is like, like Jedi mind tricking him. You will let them on the plane, and he's like, I will. You know, but it's like
Yeah.
all
He's
pre-set
like,
up.
oh,
I just
okay. That's
like,
him.
I love that.
Right.
I just love how they did that character, because it's like, you know,
That's like you and
after-
Cape running a scam right there. Like I could totally actually see that happening. And
Well, it's just it's so funny that.
and here's also what I see. I see a Cape overacting the Jedi mind trick, and then you have to constantly counsel him afterwards. Be like, no, man, you got to make it more believable. Like you can't just be like completely all over. Anyways, I'm losing the point here. But the Kumail Nanjiani's character here, I think, is going to end up being your Han Solo character, right? I think this is I think he's the true good guy. I think that the way that he's portrayed in that first episode makes you so that you don't trust him. And I think they do that intentionally.
He's
Oh,
the
right.
lovable rogue. He's the
Yes.
yeah, the
lovable
lovable
rogue.
rogue, the wily scoundrel. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, yeah.
The charming whippersnapper.
Even when he's going there to find him, like he brings in that bounty, he goes, oh, that's embarrassing. Well, let's get to him before they do, right? Like when you're the viewer watching it the first time and you don't know what he plans to do when he gets there, it makes it seem like, oh, well, he's just a scoundrel trying to get the biggest bounty out there. But after you see it the second time, like you see his implications, especially when he's approaching Kenobi. Like the first thing he tells him is like, yes, I took money out of these people's pocket, but I am actually helping them. And I do plan on actually helping them. And I actually believe him. I think that they set it up writing wise to be a harder sell for a reason.
Yeah,
Right.
And it's the classic thing everybody like, you know, and because they've kind of touched on it more in some of the later Star Wars stuff about like how, like, you know, it sucks, but you have to live in this system, baby. You know, like that's just part of it. Like, you know, and so like he said, like, you know, I'm helping them. I just also need credits. Like you got to eat.
Yeah.
And
Credits
so
buy things.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, I can help a lot more people knowing that I'm not going to starve.
trying to get my fucking shit to refocus. Cool.
I see it too.
What is this?
Anyway,
What's on?
but so major spoiler ahead on this one, but do you guys think that the Grand Inquisitor is actually dead?
Okay. All right. Lots of theories here.
I'm
Okay.
just gonna-
One, we got clones that could be there.
Got clones, yeah.
Two, Dark Side of the Force has an amazing ability for survivability and pursuing past death. Right? We saw it with Vader.
Making two robot.
We've seen it. We've seen it with Palpatine over and over and over and over again. We've also seen the clone trick over and over and over again with Palpatine.
Yeah.
Now, one of the big differences that we've seen between this Grand Inquisitor and the Grand Inquisitor we see in Rebels is his eyes, and the white part of his eyes actually being black. I think that my guess is that it's either a clone or he comes back using like the dark side of the Force. That's how I think it happens there. But I do think that he actually like was at least taken down for a bit.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. I think he's definitely got to come back though. That's such a huge kind of character to kill off right there. And what was that like? That was in the second one, yeah. No,
Right, but
second
we
one.
also know
Yeah, so-
he comes back in Rebels. Now
Exactly,
the thing about it
yeah.
is that like the other explanation is there like the Grand Inquisitor as a role, right? That's like he's like the captain of the ship, you know? And there can be another captain of the ship, and that other captain of the ship could just be another white dude, right? In this case could be another one of his race person. So there's another third option for you of just another person that's at the Grand Inquisitor that is the same race as him. Those are my thoughts. What about you, Sav?
Yeah.
Where does this take place in chronology to Star Wars Rebels?
Before it.
Before it, yes, obviously. But like, do we have an estimated timeline here? Because it could be a number of things. Obviously, they are no stranger to using cybernetic implementation to keep someone who's very, very much should be dead, very, very, very much alive.
Like a Grievous.
like a Grievous, like maybe an Anakin. Spoiler, not at all. But like
So it takes place in 10 BBY for Obi-Wan, and then Rebels timeline Star Wars is going to be
Look that up, Jamie.
approximately 14 years after the events of BBY. So that's going to be 6 BBY. So this is about 4 years before it. That's your answer. 4 years before the events of Rebels.
4 years before the events of Rebels. So yeah, they could easily slap together an emergency stomach surgery and keep that guy alive. I mean, like Anakin was literally bifurcated in
I don't buy that
3
he's dead.
different ways. Like, I mean, I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's dead because it doesn't make sense to build such a dramatic gravitas around a character just to have him
But
die in
maybe they
episode
killed him
2.
because they saw how much the internet hated his design. You know, they were just like, all right, let's go ahead and just knock it out. You know what I mean? Like, get him out of here.
I mean, but then they've got a huge chronology like gap that needs explaining.
Oh no, we just explained it.
It's a multiverse. It's a multiverse.
We just explained it. We fixed it.
Pick
for him,
one.
right? And
The same another dude that comes in with a more
But I
egg-shaped
definitely-
noggin is
I
the
think
Grand
he comes
Inquisitor now.
back, I think he comes back even harder later in this series,
It's-
right? Like I think he dies off now, and then we see him kind of come back as
Because
like
now he's
you know.
embarrassed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And
so,
like this is one of those beautiful parts about the phrase science fiction is that it is fiction. You can do whatever the fuck you want, really.
Yeah.
Like
I cannot stand the reek of your ambition no longer. I love that line. That was a good line.
you did.
It's a classic.
You did lip sneer perfectly.
He
like,
felt
that
very
was-
Sithy, you know, so which was good to see on screen again because like I feel like so many people fuck it up. They try to get too deep with it. Like the Sith are very dramatic, you know what I mean? Like they're very
dramatic.
theater kiddish, you know, like.
They're huge theater kids.
But
Big
you know,
theater kid energy.
we talked earlier kind of about like Leia, you know, and how we think that this will kind of be a little bit of that, you know, relationship building with her and Obi-Wan and everything. But where else do you guys see this series going?
I think that I think that
Because we
I
have
hope that-
very limited like creativity wise, you know, they can get a little creative, but they can't get too creative because we got
big thing-
episode 4. We got, you know, like we know where Ben winds up, you know.
we know one big plot point that they're going towards, which is a rematch between him and Vader. All right, we saw that at the end of the Bacta tank. We've seen that in you can even tell that from posters that they've sent out there, and they've talked about it, the rematch of the century. So, it's all culminating to a rematch between Vader and Obi-Wan.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be really awesome to see. But we know that that's not where we know that that ends in a draw, though, right? Like, so that's what's kind of like that's kind of the only like that was I was talking to a buddy of mine who like he's watched all of them, but I don't think he had put 2 and 2 together because he was just like, you know, this Kenobi series. I think it'd be really cool if it ended with like, you know, Vader killing Kenobi, and I was like, well, Vader does kill Kenobi.
That's not how to. Well,
Yeah, in
I mean,
episode 4.
he's right.
It's in episode 4. You know, I was like, it's not.
He's right.
Yeah.
I was like, so yeah, no, it's gonna happen, but not in the series. Like it's
Right.
already happened on, you know, it's gonna be a much older Kenobi. But anyway,
I mean, it's kind of, Kenobi has to win.
yeah, I think Kenobi has to win to kind of like. We're definitely gonna get more Vader, and I definitely think we should. I want to see a lot more Vader, kind of like bullshittery. I don't get why they don't do that. Give us what we want. Give us a whole Vader series. I mean, you know, Christian said he would do it. Just load it up.
He's dancing around
Right.
it, yeah.
Just
Right.
do it.
But so far,
Cha-ching.
final question for this one: better than Boba Fett, right?
Oh,
How you
for the
feeling?
start, for the first
Just
2 episodes?
Yeah, 2 episodes better than Boba Fett, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll go back to Tatooine any day for Kenobi.
I know that's what's.
Yeah.
I liked how they kind of like almost pulled a gotcha card on that one. They were like, all right, this first episode, you're still on Tatooine. It feels like something you've been watching. You know what I mean? And we're all like, all right, another series on Tatooine. We even had people in the Discord talking shit about it. And then boom, episode 2 is like, guess what? We're leaving Tatooine. Get the fuck out of here. And like, so that's why I think the second
Far
episode...
opposite, like Alderaan is the far opposite.
Exactly. Now we're back. We're on a city. We're getting the whole like, you want some death sticks? You know what I mean? Kind of a fucking like thing, which I thought was hilarious.
Gorgeous vegetation, tall skyscrapers, like
the whole death sticks combo
Far
literally
opposite.
made me LOL because I was like, that was one of my favorite lines from like one of the prequels. You know, you want some death sticks? I don't want any.
You want some death sticks? I don't want some death sticks.
I want to.
You don't want. You don't want to sell me death sticks. You don't want to sell me death sticks. I don't want to sell you death sticks.
Yeah.
You're gonna go home and rethink your life.
There you go.
Go home and rethink my life.
Yeah, that shit always like killed me because like that's how I like to exit conversations that way.
Yeah. I'm gonna go home.
Like,
You're gonna go home and rethink your life.
I'm gonna go home and
rethink
rethink my life.
Go back to Mandalorian season 1. I've spoken. Walk away. Just walk
I've
away.
They got Star Wars got the best clapbacks.
They do a really good job on the callbacks for Star Wars. It's almost like it's almost as good as Sunny. No, I'm just but that'll wrap it up for the first half of our show. But do not go anywhere. When we get back, we've got a deep dive into the multiverse, and then we're gonna be wrapping things up with our top Zen, which was the top 10 worst moms in herstory. So stick around. We've got a lot more show coming right at you. We'll be back in 5.
So many choices.